First item is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions or changes, directions?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes of the previous meeting. Everybody had a chance to look at those?
Move to approve as presented. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Doesn't look like we have any visitors other than news media here, radio. Might make note of no injuries or incidents. Started the year off great.
Good trend.
Last year I said that, Megan yelled at me, so.
Okay. Before we get into reports, I would like to recognize we've got a couple of people that have been here for a while. Matt Pinnock, 20 years of employment, so we want to recognize Matt for all his hard work. And unfortunately, Megan is not here this morning, but Megan has been employed by MMU for 35 years. We owe her a real deep.
Yeah.
There's the.
Congratulations.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll move into reports. I guess, Grant, you get to be up first since you've been gone.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I do have one action item this morning, and it's a replacement of the water main on Ted and Bond Avenue and Wall Street. The majority of this was installed in 1924, with the remainder of it in 49. It's failed several times over the past years. This is an ROSP. It is a budgeted project. With the size of this project, I'd like to go ahead and get approval for that so we can get started. It is also identified in our master plan as it will improve fire flows in that area significantly. So at this time, my recommendation is a motion to replace the 4-inch cast iron main on Ted Avenue, Bond Avenue, and Wall Street with a new 6-inch C900 plastic main using in-house labor and equipment. I might add that this is part of the pipe that Grant bought.
Never mind my question.
And I guess the street departments.
They are aware that was scheduled for their maintenance last year, and I got with them and got the whole roll.
It's something you'll be able to start on immediately.
Yes.
Make reference that we do work with the street department, just for the people online who think we don't.
Yes. I update their list every year because our budget changes with Maine's have a way of making their own timeline, so we do communicate quite often with Randy and the city so we don't tear up new streets.
Yeah, they keep providing a pretty big list as well. So
About 10 years worth of projects is what I was sent them.
Nothing more, I'd make that motion to replace the 4-inch cast iron main on Ted Avenue, Bond Avenue, and Wall Street with new 6-inch C900 plastic main using in-house labor and equipment.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to replace the 4-inch cast iron main on Ted Avenue, Bond Avenue, and Wall Street with new 6-inch C900 plastic main using in-house labor and equipment. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, gentlemen. The only other thing I might add is I did attend the plumbing board meeting, and a lot of discussion was had on the inspection process on the plumbing side and how to clean that up. We're making strides there to clean it up for the interim. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I've noticed the guys have been out on South Lake Drive running. Are they inspecting the sewer out there?
Yeah, cleaning and inspecting it.
There's nothing else for Grant. Thank you, Grant. Jared, good morning.
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 Do have an action item for our stack testing, the NESHAP rights testing on units 10 and 11. And I want to start by saying it is typically a budgeted item. And when I did the budget this year, I, for some reason, stuck it in the 2027 column instead of the 2026 column, but it does need to be done this year. It's required by DNR and the EPA every 3 years on all our internal combustion engines. BHMG has done this for us for the last, I don't know how long, 10, 15 years, and have always done a good job for us. They will put together a plan and submit that to DNR, and then once the testing is completed, they will submit all the results to DNR and the EPA, and also send us an electronic file with all the results on it from that. So my motion would be to request BHMG Engineers Incorporated to perform the required NESHAP rice testing on units 10 and 11 for $14,383.
And I think it's worth mentioning too, the batteries where they found the bad capacitor, Jared had those budgeted to replace, so we're not having that expense this year once they figured out and resolved that issue. So I think he visited with Tony, and there's no budget concerns here. We save money in one place, and we've got more than enough to cover this because of that savings.
No, we don't have much of a choice on this either.
Well, right, but at least it makes you feel better to know that we're looking at
Got a
everything.
place to cover it. Yeah.
Right, we look at everything when we make these decisions.
Let's make the motion to request the HMG engineers to perform the required NESHAP rights testing on units 10 and 11 for $14,383. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to request BHMG Engineers, Inc. to perform the required NESHAP rice testing on units 10 and 11 for a cost of $14,383. If there's no additional questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Just one update on unit 6. I did speak to the company doing the voltage regulator yesterday. They are just finishing up drawings. Once those are all done, they will send them to us for final review. And then after that, we'll get together and get a time set up to do the installation. So, and that's all I got, unless you got any questions.
Anything else for Jared?
No, but if I could go back, I would just wanted to ask Ray, they did this work out here with the natural gas line. Did that all go good?
Yeah.
And I saw them burning off the gas.
Yeah, they had their area blocked off, and a lot of safety people were here the duration.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll move on. Doug, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I do have an action item for you this morning. This is a budgeted item to convert the overhead single-phase conductors and walkway easements to underground. This is a long-term, ongoing project. It's very successful, and we'd like to continue that. So with that, my recommendation is for a motion to approve converting overhead single-phase lines and walkway easements to underground for fiscal year 2026.
I make a motion to approve converting overhead single-phase lines and walkway easements to underground for the fiscal year 2026.
Second.
Do you see this going on for several years, Doug?
Yeah, I was thinking we probably need, we're getting close as far as in the Potomac Hills areas. We're probably a couple years left there to finish up that area. And then it's kind of moving around. And the main concern moving forward would be in areas where we don't have easements. So we need, easement acquisition to try to finish up those areas. So that may slow us down a little bit, but we need to take an overall picture of town and see what we have left over. But we've been doing it since 2010, 2011, I think. And we're made a lot of progress.
Do you have any idea how many customers have been moved underground?
I don't off the top of my head.
Well, above 500, I'm sure.
Yeah, several thousand feet of primary, secondary conductors buried.
We can't stop now. We're getting close to wood.
And granted,
I'll
abstain.
abstain if I have to.
There's been a motion and a
So, yeah, we
second.
had a motion second, yeah.
We have a second to the motion? Okay. Motion been made and second to approve converting overhead single-phase lines and walkway easements to underground for fiscal year 2026. There's no additional questions. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. I don't have anything else to add to the packet unless you have any questions for me.
Ken, did you see they're cutting down some trees at the power plant site?
Pardon?
They're cutting down some trees, right, at the
Yes.
power plant site?
I'll go by there when I leave. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, we'll move on. Jim, good morning.
Good morning. Nothing really much to report other than we've been spending a lot of time blowing fiber this month. I think we're over 10 miles this month of blowing fiber. So
Great.
we made a little bit of progress on
Yeah.
catching up our backlog, but nothing much else to report. Unless you got any
The
questions.
weather will hold out.
Yeah, so far so good.
The blowing machine's working good now?
Yep, seems to be. Every once in a while we run into some conduit that's got kinked or crushed or whatever, but we've had two of those blows we did this month. We had some issues with, so they took longer than normal. So we could have got 10 or a couple more miles in, but yeah, we made good progress this month.
How do they figure out where it's cracked at, or you guys got a measurement on your
Yes,
line going in?
sometimes it's easy. You can, if the coupler's pulled apart, sometimes it'll just blow out of the ground. You can see the dirt and the grass and whatever blowing. Sometimes it doesn't, and you kind of have to get your locator out and put a rod in there and figure out how far you're getting. Sometimes it's quick and sometimes it's not.
Appreciate your guys' hard work and the diligence that they're putting into it. It's making a difference.
Thank you.
Did I see some easements got filed for the I-70 project going under I-70?
We had an easement that's been signed, but we don't have the copy original to record, so we haven't recorded any, but I don't know if the county has.
Anything else? Thank you, Jim. Eric, good morning.
Morning. Just a couple updates. I did visit the Junction wastewater plant. It looks like it's coming along. They got the blowers in. I did speak with the contractor out there, and they plan to do a startup March 16th. I plan to be there for that. Also, we got the aeration blower in, set in place. We finished up some wiring and a flange on the back of it, and that's scheduled for startup on April 6th. But we get everything we need to get buttoned up on that. I'm going to try to move that up a little bit. And that's all I had. Unless you have any questions.
You say March 16th?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else for Eric? Thank you, Eric. Travis, good morning.
Morning. I have an update on the well treatment maintenance project. They started last week. They did do a chemical cleaning on well 4. That was the one that we couldn't use or anything because the flow went way down, everything. The chemical cleaning that they did, it improved it a little bit, only brought it up to about 300 gallons a minute. That well normally runs at 500 gallons a minute. So basically, if they tried to valve it up anymore to get any more flow, they would lose suction and everything. So basically, they proposed another type of method for cleaning. It's what they call their air shock method. Basically, I've never seen it done, but it has some type of probe and everything. They use shock waves, things like that, to go down into the well and to break up any incrustations, any bacterial growth that's on the well screen. It also goes out into the gravel pack and into the formation to break that apart. And then after that's done, then they would do another chemical cleaning on it, and that should bring everything back, which of course that was an additional cost. It was in their the bid packet as an option, but it is going to cost another around $7,995 to do that. But with the way that well is, it's not going to work. We have to have it up at least 500 gallons a minute. and everything. And then when they did pull all the pumping equipment out of it and everything yesterday, and they did find that it's also going to need a new seal box, an adjustment nut, and some tubing. Because that one's wore real bad, and which it has been worn. And they mentioned it last year whenever they pulled it to replace that, and then inspected it last year. But this time it needs to be replaced. That was an additional $1,200. So with that being said, which well 3 was in the budget to treat and pull for inspection. Looking at all the sample results and all that, well 3 was just clean last year. The sample results that we do twice a month aren't showing any decline in drawdowns or anything like that. So what I proposed to them that we take well 3 out of the rotation this year and then use all of that for well 4. So that would be using that additional chemical that they would use on 3. Also the labor that it would take to pull 3 and everything too, all that's being utilized to well 4. So like those around that $79.95 and the $1,200 is the additional cost it's going to be. So
What was that shockwave treatment again? What was it called?
it's air shock. It's a patented thing that that well company uses. It's some type of probe that they put down in there and just use shock waves, and then it releases gas bubbles and all that, and it's supposed to. They used it. Actually, they were using it yesterday. I think they said over O'Fallon. I think they've used it for some wells over at Columbia also. And talking to one of the guys from Columbia a while back, because I kind of questioned him on how that worked, and he said it worked for them. So I think it's a process that I think from some previous things that were done a couple years ago, I think that's what caused the bacterial growth or the incrustation on the well stream, because it was left open for so long. Talking with this contractor, they said never to do that because that's all that does. So hopefully we're fixing this problem.
So like breaking a kidney stone.
Yeah. No, it's not like that.
Didn't work? Didn't work? It works. Or it just hurts more when they come out?
It hurts. Well, I appreciate you finding a way to fund it, by doing something, taking 3 away. And I guess 4, it is our lowest production well, and from what I see on it.
Yeah, it's one of the lower ones anyway, but on our rotation that we use daily and stuff, it's been out of service for a while because of this. So, yeah.
We just need a consensus.
Yeah, consensus.
Anybody have?
I'm in favor. Yeah.
I'm in favor. Okay.
Thank you. I don't have any other things to add, but have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
We'll probably have some when we get back to the end here.
I figured.
Oh, okay. Well, Megan's not here, so do you want to?
Yeah, I'd really like to hit on the safety section. I'd really like to hit on the safety section and our work comp update, and just continue to commend staff for working safe and making MMU a very safe workplace. And that saved our customers a lot of money. I think we're $69,000 for our work comp annual premium. We were over $300,000 not that long ago. So not only are we sending people home just like they arrived to work, we're saving saving real dollars. I mean, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars being saved, but, you know, I want to commend those employees, supervisors, because it takes everybody. I mean, we got 95 people in the utility, and it takes every single one of them to be able to make this type of accomplishment. So, did want to hit on that, and I'll try to answer any questions if you have any about anything else in there.
I'm not quite sure how that EMR formula works, but I think that takes a little bit, just even to drop it by that point or one.
3 years. 3 years.
Yeah, it's a 3-year cycle.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got, you know, if we can continue this trend, I think we've got a year on there that probably limited to only dropping that .01. Excuse me, but we continue this. I was talking to some staff the other day, and I think it's almost, the employees are like, how low can we get it? What's a low number? So I mean, the employees and staff are talking about things we didn't talk about before, and in particular this number. And I think it's almost like a competition to see how low they can get it. And safety's really come a long way. I've been here a long time, and we are the safest we have ever been, and that really goes out to staff and employees. So.
That's amazing. I don't know how much lower we can actually get it. Like, there is a bottom to these things where you're not going to get a 0 EMR. But
Doesn't stop us from trying.
this is right. This is amazing. Like, as a utility company, this is an amazing number. You're right. It says a ton about the atmosphere and the attitudes of the workers and how they're going home. And this also goes a long way into, you know, the raises and the construction we get to do in-house and stuff like that. All that plays into that number as well.
Yeah. And you guys know, a lot of utility work is hard work, and then there's a lot of risks and opportunities to get hurt, and for staff to identify those and find ways to make everything they do safer, particularly in the environment some of them work in. You're working out in rough weather conditions, changing conditions. When you have job sites out in the public, you may leave at the end of one day and show up the next day, and you might have different hazards that weren't there previously. It's a constantly changing environment, and the staff has done a really good job of staying on top of that. So, yeah, I could talk for hours on how proud I am of this group and everybody at the utility.
Unfortunately, I got a meeting at 12:30, so
I see lots of smiles around the rooms.
Well, thank everybody for it.
Yeah, certainly will.
If there's no other questions, Tony, good morning.
Morning. Only thing I'll really add to the packet there is, obviously, Jeff and myself met with DNR, Burns. Some of their staff was included in that call. Looks like the state revolving fund will probably be a good option for borrowing for water projects. They did do our test score for grants, and we were pretty low. So
60, we needed a 200, and we scored 60.
yeah. So we are looking at maybe looking through the water districts and seeing if they can include those towns and those areas that we supply water to. Grant did give me some information on that, and I did get that to DNR, but I don't think we're too hopeful that that's going to be an option. But yeah, so we're looking at that. There's a lot of discussion I think we're still going to have on that, how we want to do that. It's going to involve Burns, and Jeff might have more to speak on that. But overall, I think that's a good sign that that option is available for us down the road when we decide to make those improvements. That's really all I have, unless you guys have any questions. I did get the audit. It's done. I'll have a copy for you guys at the next board meeting if you guys want a copy of it. But, yeah.
Yeah, just to tag on to the DNR conversation a little bit, we kind of were going through that, and And basically your rating is for disadvantages based on census tracts. And Marshall as a whole, scores 60. And the score to qualify for grants is 200. We were kind of going through that discussion, and I thought about separating the water plant, because the water plant serves a lot of other communities outside of Marshall. And I asked him, I said, would we be able to include that census data just for the plant? And he said they'd never been asked that question before, but they'd certainly take a look at it. So Grant and Tony got together, and we provided them all the community information to the people we serve outside of Marshall, and that was sent to them yesterday. It never hurts to try, you know. So we sent them that, and if we can somehow improve that score, ideally we could get grants for the water plant and then use a loan for the distribution improvements. So we're swinging the bat and trying to look for ways, but I'm certain it'll raise our score above 60, but whether it gets to 200 or not, you don't know. But we serve a lot of other communities, particularly through the water districts that people aren't aware of: Sweet Springs, Mount Leonard, Miami, Nafta, Nelson, Blackwater. There's a lot of those communities that they'll use those census tracts to look at the grant potential. So we're trying.
Would those water districts be applying for grants?
No, they're funded through USDA.
Okay.
And they may get some grants through USDA, but probably not DNR. I don't know that for certain, but that would be my guess, Chuck. Is
Okay.
they're kind of like the electric co-ops. They were, USDA kind of started those loan programs to get those services out into the rural areas, and I know they have to abide by a lot of rules for USDA, and
Okay.
my guess would be that's where their grant and funding sources would come from. So anyway, I can move right on into
That would be wonderful.
move right on into mine. We've got a meeting Friday to discuss the transmission line study. Mudgemuck had Toth and Associates perform a transmission line study due to the addition of the Marshall Energy Center. We find a few things there we need to talk about. Another discussion we're going to have is whether or not the addition of this energy center will make us have to run with our emergency tie closed, which would put us as part of the bulk system. There would be NERC requirements. We're really getting into the early discussions on that. I think a lot of that will take place Friday. Mudgemuck did consult with a third party that specializes in this kind of thing, and they will be on the call as well Friday. So I've invited Doug and Jared to participate if there's some NERC requirements that might affect our dispatch. I've kind of stressed with them my desire to stay like we are. I mean, we'll see where that ends up. If we have to go to the NERC route, we might have some choices in some areas that make things easier. Either way, we will collect revenue, more revenue on that line. Right now, we don't collect any revenue. Marshall Energy Center, if it stays like it is, they will pay us a transportation cost basically to get to SPP, so we'll have revenue that route. If it goes to the bulk system under NERC requirements, we'll be allowed to charge a tariff and collect funds to cover expenses and maybe put some money back to cover depreciation and those kind of things. So a lot of unknowns at this point, but we're really kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of that discussion Friday. Steve, you'll be happy to know where I kind of had a little time on between MEC or Mudgemuck agreements. Been working with Doug and Jim on the AT&T joint pole use agreement. We've got some things to answer on our end. I want to make sure we're all on the same page, and then there's some sticking points with AT&T, but we get where we need to be. We'll sit down and try to work something out. Also, something we've never had is a joint use agreement between internal departments, which would be broadband and electric distribution. I sent that off to MPUA and had they've got an in-house attorney that will review things for us. And he used to be on the Public Service Commission, very utility oriented, and he sent it back with no comments. So we've got a few things to finish up there. And my hope is to bring that to the board for approval next week. And we have to treat ourselves just like we do anybody else. We can't show favoritism. And you know, we're working on other joint use agreements. We want to make sure we're covering our bases on our end, and that Doug treats Jim like everybody else. So, and vice versa. Ain't the right, Jim. So kind of pick those back up a little bit. One other thing that was interesting we learned on that call with DNR is for our lead service line replacement, Marshall is classified as disadvantaged. I don't know how. We aren't here, but we are here. But we do qualify for 100% grant funding for some of those projects. Shared some of that with Grant. I'm still working with DNR to get a few details. What this would do is if we have customers who have a lead line, we could get a grant to pay for their lines to be replaced. So it would be a big, I think we've got 5 or 6 now that we've identified, and we're 25 or 30% through that process. So, you know, it's nice when you have to go to a customer and say, hey, you got a lead service line, you need to replace it, but we've got grant funds, we can cover that cost for you. So, continuing to work on that, but they just kind of volunteered that out of the blue, and really appreciate it. I think that the 2 gentlemen we're working with are very, very customer oriented or city oriented, and really want to help. So very, very happy with those gentlemen. We did push the switchgear installation and transformer installation back to fall of 2027. You know, that just with that emergency tie outage, March was not going to work. We had some safety concerns where we couldn't de-energize the 161 bus. We were going to have a crane in there. And I think those transformers, they're going to be step-up transformers starting December for those units. So I don't think another 6 months. Mudbuck was going to take another look at that, but we don't see any concerns. Doug just provided them some load data. So that should be okay. Continue to work with an AI center. Have reached out to MPUA, had some discussions there. We have a services and rates meeting coming up to address these kind of loads. It was funny when visiting with Rebecca, anything that is considered a not normal load has to go to SPP for approval. So, you know, if you've got a 2-3 megawatt load that's large for a community like us, that would be considered not normal. So there may be another 6-month process there with SPP to take a look at that. And, you know, and you think about it, SPP's 13 states. If you get 10 communities in each state putting 2.5 megawatt, 5 megawatt projects in, it could be a problem. So continue to look at that. Tony did look at the financials of this company as well. You know, you want to know who you're doing business with, and you know there might be a lot of expenditures, not just for Marshall, but from the pool level to secure this capacity. So we want to make sure we've got somebody that's going to be around for a while. We don't want to get left on the bag. So doing our due diligence there. Did get the natural gas transportation agreement this morning. I'll start that review. And the next would be the fuel oil agreement. Jerry's been working on some stuff there. I think the fuel oil agreement is probably going to be a little more complicated than even the natural gas agreement. When you're sharing, transportation agreements, just you use this, we transport it, it's this. But when you've got shared tanks and EIA reporting and all that stuff, how do you balance all that? Who takes care of what? So there's quite a few details there that have to be worked out too. But we'll keep moving that forward. And the city council did approve both readings of the common facilities agreement at the last council meeting. So we're making progress and moving forward. One thing I do want to point out, Travis does have the water treatment annual department report here. You know, I remember if you guys go to page 13, top of page 13. Gentlemen went up and looked at the aerators. Now you can see how old they are. We got a 63 and a 77. So I think we've gotten our money's worth out of both those units, particularly the 63. It probably should have been replaced some years ago, but, you know, you guys have looked at those, you couple that with this information, I think it tells you we're looking at spending the money where it needs to be spent. And I think that's important. So, just wanted to point that out in the report. I'm sure if you have any other questions, Travis would be happy to answer.
I think on this year's capital budget.
No, I think we were waiting for the water system,
Yeah.
the water system,
Yeah.
distribution system master plan, because, you know, you got kind of two separate operations, but they all come out of the same pot of money, and we're kind of waiting if we can get all those costs to figure out, you know, what we need to do for a loan. It'd be nice if we got a grant for the plant that could just take care of that.
Yeah.
That's probably not likely, but,
Question, I asked Travis this when we were out taking a walkthrough. Is there a reason that we need two? Could we just, if we replace these, could we just replace with one larger unit rather than the two units that we have?
Travis?
Be something we'd have to ask the engineers on, for sure. Because I know it has two different influent lines. So could they be tied together? Possibly. But like I said, we'd have to talk with the engineers, make sure that would be feasible. In
Yeah.
my opinion, it probably would work.
I would think it would save money.
Well, yeah, that's it.
It
I
would
was
save
thinking
money.
just like asking DNR a question. I mean, I think that's certainly something we could look at that could save money as long as it doesn't put us in a bind operationally. But certainly a good question to ask, I think. Ken.
Yeah, because
All they can say is no.
then you would only have to have the flow split once instead of twice. So it would probably benefit if we could get by with one.
It probably would cost less.
Yes.
So no, good thought. Ken, appreciate it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be one I'd have to talk with Bernie on and go from there.
Well, I certainly found this to be a very complete report, very detailed. There's a couple things, on page 34, and I think this was on last year's too. There's the lagoons, and it talks about the whole area should be fenced at some point, and it says it was been addressed by DNR. And I always get nervous whenever you get a DNR request, because at what point does it become a requirement versus something that they
A
address?
recommendation.
Yeah.
Right. The last inspection we had, last year, year before, they didn't even mention anything about the fence. Thing is, it's surrounded on one side by the railroad tracks, the other side's by a creek, and then farmland on the other.
And
So,
it's fenced on the front.
and it's fenced all the way in the front. So
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it was on last year's report, I thought.
Yeah, I think it was in here.
Uh-huh.
But
And I'm assuming that was a recommendation.
yes.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
a
it seems to be.
Right, yeah, if it
recommendation.
wasn't a recommendation, we'd have done it already.
Yeah, until it becomes a
Requirement.
Yeah, and that's just my concern a little bit. And then the other thing on page 38, and I know, I think these are on that master plan, is the motor control centers not meeting current electrical codes. So that's always kind of a concern whenever you see something that's not the code.
Yep. Yeah, that was it's master plan to replace that one that's in the
Yeah.
old lab. We did replace the other one, a couple years ago.
I know it's in the plan, but yeah, a very complete report. Thank you. And I guess I would just, should we at least maybe get a budget for fencing it, so we might know and get a feel for,
It may not hurt, and that might be something we can include, you know, if we got work going on up there, maybe lump that in, but yeah, I think a price would be a good
yeah,
place to
just
start.
price. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Doug knows the fencing guy, you need to contact Travis.
Any other questions about the annual report?
We're good on all of our reporting limits and everything. That all looked good.
We've got high quality H2O.
Good.
We just need a new line to get it.
Working on it, yeah.
If there's no other questions, we move on to cash disbursements. Everybody had a chance to review those?
Approve them quick, yeah. We take one of these every 2 weeks, don't we?
I like a lot easier if they go that way.
Yeah.
Maybe this was just 1 week.
End of the month is always the best.
Reached out to the city and shared those dates, and I'm just waiting to hear back, so. As soon as I hear something, I'll send that out to you guys.
Make a motion to approve cash disbursements.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve cash disbursements. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March the 11th. Unfortunately, I have a doctor's appointment that morning. You all can surely go on without me, or if you're gonna
Schedule.
I could do it a little later in the morning or whatever.
Yeah, whatever you gentlemen like to do, I think
I'm hoping that day.
we could move it later in the morning if you'd like. I mean,
What time's your appointment?
My appointment's at 8 o'clock, so I should be,
Go to 9:30.
9 o'clock. I go to Jack, it didn't take long.
Okay.
Takes longer to get
Yeah,
right
no,
up in the
I
morning.
think pushing it back by half hour would be fine.
Yeah, we better go a little later than that.
I think 9:30 is a good time.
Yeah, yeah. Jack might want this.
Oh,
I don't want you to feel rushed.
no, well,
We don't want him to feel rushed.
Yeah, exactly.
if you've ever gone to Jack, I mean, he runs people through.
Yeah.
There is no fuss, no muss.
Go March 11th, 9:30.
Okay.
And that is our only meeting in March.
Okay.
I believe, is that correct?
Appreciate that, thank you. All right. 9:30 on Wednesday, the 11th. If there's no other business, I would entertain him.
There is one, so there's an SOA meeting this afternoon.
1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
the new customer command. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, the old boardroom at the office.
I do plan to attend.
Me as well. Might be wearing a mask to protect everybody's eyes, but I plan to be there.
Well, it's just nice to
Safety
see you
first.
out and about.
Yeah, it's good to be out and about. I'm getting close to being 100% cut loose and looking forward to it.
If there's no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.